Trey 3K here with another message to self and whoever's listening. In today's video, what I will be discussing is, where does confidence come from? Where should your confidence come from? Why should you even be confident in yourself? These are questions that every man has to answer for himself, because confidence is what will drive you to accomplish, be the person, attract the things that you want in life. I would love to replace the word confidence with certainty. You're certain about yourself. You are certain even in the midst of uncertainty. Even if you aren't the most attractive guy, the wealthiest guy, the whatever you want to measure yourself up to, right? Even if you aren't those things, you still have to have a level of certainty about yourself that even though you may not have, maybe you're not 6'4", maybe you don't make $100,000 a month, maybe you aren't in the best shape, but you in yourself know that that doesn't make or break you, right? Because the reality is this: guys that don't have those things are still, there's guys like that still succeed. For example, let's say Rick Ross, for example. Rick Ross, you know what I'm saying, a heavy set man, right? No secret about it, you know what I'm saying? However, Rick Ross got bitches. I believe Rick Ross got bitches. Let's say a guy like, I don't know, anybody. Measure yourself up to anybody. And you have to realize that it's the internal that makes a person who they are, right? And once you start working on the internal, you will then start working on the external. And when you start working on the external is a representation of the internal. That's why it is important for us to work on ourselves, to take the time to build the internal work, so that then we have the mentality, the knowledge, the desire to become. Once you know things, you can only go so long knowing it without acting on it. That's something that I found to be true. If you truly want to, truly believe that there's greatness in you. I have greatness inside of me, but I don't know how to bring it out. You work on your insides. You work on your mindset. You work on the knowledge that you have. You work on building the skills, right? Every single man has to go through a period where they just work on themselves, because when you do that, you're going to build that internal substance to where it's gonna one day eventually manifest externally, right? It's okay that you aren't everything that you imagine yourself to be. It's okay that you're not that yet. But the harsh question is, are you headed in the direction of becoming that person? See, one thing that I've learned to tell myself, because I have struggled with being patient. I want it right now. I believe that I'm worth $1 billion. Literally. I see big companies and I say, oh yeah, that'll be me one day. And I say that to myself with no doubt about it. What was I saying? You have to have that internal confidence. You can only go so long with, you have to get to the point where you truly believe this about yourself. And that's where the internal work goes. That's what it's for, right? It's okay that you're not that person yet, but what are you doing to become that person? I like to tell myself, I am where I'm going, right? I'm in the car right now. I'm on my way home, but I'm still 10 minutes away. I am where I'm going, right? Every single moment that I'm driving, I'm headed in the direction of where I'm going. I'm just not there yet. Some journeys are longer than other journeys. You have to be okay with that. You have to be okay that you have to understand that everybody has a different default, right? Some people may have grew up with, I don't fucking know, a father figure that, you know, pushed them to do specific things that now you can see, oh, okay, they're doing the, like, oh, you know what I'm saying? My dad exercises all the time. So, and he would wake me up and have me exercise with him. Oh, so it's likely that I would exercise because that's a habit that has been instilled in me, right? Or, oh, my dad or my, you know, brother, sister, or brother, any male figure in your life, oh, they were businessmen. And ever since I was a little kid, they instilled business principles inside of me. Everybody started with a different default. Some people's default, they're ahead of you in certain areas. You're ahead of them in certain areas, right? Maybe the guy that works out every day, yeah, he works out every day and all that stuff, but he doesn't have the internal confidence because he doesn't, I don't know, whatever the case may be. You have to understand that everybody has a different default. So you have to get in tune with what your default is. What is your default? What is the cards that you were dealt? Is it a 2-parent household? Is it a single parent household? Is it ever since you were a little kid, you always practiced self-confidence and you were always aware of that? Ever since you were a little kid, you always knew how to engage with women? Is it your looks? Is your default your looks, and you could say that your looks got you some opportunities that if you didn't have those looks, you wouldn't have them? Is it your thought process? Right? Like, what is your default? Everybody has a unique default, and we have to be okay with that. Otherwise, we're going to be measuring ourselves up to other people and being unpleased, right? I like to say that insecurity is you knowing that you are not doing everything in your will to become the best version of yourself. That's the only reason you'll be insecure. That is the only reason you will be insecure. If you know for a fact in your heart of hearts that you're not doing everything you can to be the best version of yourself. Because when you're actively working on yourself, I'm not even gonna say the cliche, when you're actively working on yourself, you don't have time to think about your insecurities. No, you do. When you're actively working on yourself, you know that you're doing everything you can to become better. You're aware that your default in this specific area wasn't that high. So now you're doing what you can to lift it up. And now you're celebrating your progress. Now you're saying, okay, I'm better than I was before. You're in comparison to yourself. That is the most healthy comparison you can have. This is a view of Los Angeles off the 405 freeway. For those of you who not, that's where they built the stadium. If you could see the Ram Stadium, I think it's built already. I'm not sure, but that's it. I like this little view. But yeah, man, I'm low-key fired up right now. I'm low-key ranting, but I really hope that this message sticks with somebody, because this is something that this is something that I am instilling in myself. Trey, you have a default. You were dealt a specific amount of cards. You were dealt cards right? And you may not have the ace of spades. But that doesn't mean that, just like a card game, you might be dealt the cards. You might be dealt a bad hand. But that doesn't mean you cannot win the game. That doesn't mean that you cannot win the game. That doesn't mean that you can't work your way up to get better cards. And with this thing called life, it's more, we have a lot more control over it than just a regular card game, right? You actually can get better cards in this game called life. You just have to put in the work to get them. That's the video for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. 3